The moon trembled behind torn clouds, and something ancient stirred in the deep corners of the sky. You felt it, didn't you? That strange pressure in the air, the crackle that moved through your spirit like thunder muffled beneath stone, a signal that your time of silence is rupturing and the veil of deception is finally beginning to shred. You were never forgotten, but you were hidden, cloaked beneath layers of falsehood spun by hands that swore they loved you. They tied your future in knots behind your back, smiling as they did it, speaking honeyed lies while your back bore their secret blades, but now the divine winds rise, and what they buried will not stay buried. You were made to carry fire, and no more will that flame be contained beneath the suffocating earth of delay. Archangel Michael says, there were names whispered in council, names that sought to rewrite the timeline of your purpose, to exile you from your appointed hour. And yet, even while you stood in confusion, sensing what you could not name, your spirit was already marked for divine retrieval. Now, the time of awakening has come, and the illusions begin to tremble. The first quake has struck the false world they built around you. They will say you've changed, but in truth, you are only becoming what they tried to blind you to. The trembling in the heavens is not chaos, it is birth, and birth is always messy, always bloody, always loud with pain and purpose. God says, the hourglass is flipped, and your name has been called by winds that obey only me. The storm you feared is not your punishment, it is your passage. Let the winds scream and the clouds split, for it is by such terror that the gate opens, and only the brave will pass through. You are not alone in this midnight hour, though every false ally has fled. I am the fire in your bones and the whisper that turns into a roar. The watchers, those who grinned in your downfall, have begun to feel it, an unease that coils around their confidence. They know something is shifting, and they scramble to hold what is slipping from their hands. But they cannot stop the unraveling. What was done in hidden rooms will now be shouted by thunder across rooftops. The veil did not tear without blood. You have bled in silence, in confusion, in betrayal, and the heavens have recorded every drop. Now it is the turn of your betrayers to tremble, for the veil was not just your cover, it was their shield from exposure, and it is no longer intact. The trembling you feel in your bones is the signal, the hidden war is moving into open air. God says, I have watched your silence. I have counted the days when your prayers seemed to vanish into black skies, and I say to you now, none were lost. Your cries echoed into eternity and were forged into weapons, and now they return not as words but as fire. Do not look away now. Do not shrink back into comfortless safety. The ground under you is holy because it is shaking. Your steps now disturb the grave of every dead lie spoken over your life. The veil does not rip without sound, and the sound is a summons. Even the spirits that warred against you are now trembling at what you carry. Archangel Michael says, you were chosen not for ease, but for impact. The shaking is not the end, it is the signal that the foundation has remembered your name. Walk into the storm with your eyes open, for the storm was built around your arrival. They will come pretending innocence. They will speak as though they never doubted you, never betrayed you, never sat in silence when your name was dragged through shadows. But this is the season when your discernment sharpens like a sword, cut through their smiles, for truth is rising, and your spirit knows the sound of it. Do not cling to what the shaking removes. Let it fall. Let it crumble. You are not losing anything you were destined to keep. Those who were never meant to walk through your gates will be removed by force if they resist the warning of heaven. You are being cleared for ascension, and not everyone can breathe where you are going. The veil tore because your destiny outgrew its binding. What once served to protect you has now become your cage, and the divine hand does not allow caged lions to remain tame. You are not called to survive this hour, you are called to shake it, to shift it, to roar through it like thunder that splits the heavens. They buried you beneath delay, false prophecy, sabotage, and spiritual control, but seeds do not die in darkness, they bloom with fury when the time is right. And now the earth above you is breaking, and the false covering is torn. You are not emerging meek, you are coming out crowned with fire. God says, I held your breath in my hands through every betrayal. I wrote your escape into the chaos they planned. Now the script flips. The watchers fall silent. The torn veil becomes a banner. Do not wait for the world to catch up to what heaven has declared. They will say it's too soon, too strange, too sudden. But heaven's suddenlies do not require man's permission. This is your moment, my child. Step through the torn veil, or risk staying buried under what no longer holds you. The shadows remember what you forgot. In the quiet hours when you questioned if you were the problem, if you deserved the silence, the delay, the loss, there were hands moving in secret, tying knots around your spirit. They smiled in your face while digging pits behind your back, weaving delays into your days like thorns sewn into garments, but now those chains scream as they shatter. This is not a gentle unbinding. This is rupture. This is rebellion against the false cycles they cursed over your bloodline, cycles that were never yours to carry, but were chained to your ankles since childhood through spiritual vows you never consented to. What breaks now breaks violently, because it was never meant to last this long. You feel the tension, don't you? That tight, sickening pressure just before release, the feeling that something is trying to flee you, because it knows it can no longer live in your presence. That's not anxiety. That's deliverance rising. You are not breaking down, you are breaking out, and the spirits assigned to delay you are screaming in the unseen realm because they can no longer tether you. Archangel Michael says, I watched them curse your reflection with words that carried poison into your identity. I saw them mimic love while chanting sabotage behind closed doors. They chained you with manipulation, bound your joy with confusion, but now the hammer of heaven is falling, and every hidden contract is being burned. This is not just your moment. This is your vengeance. The betrayal was not small, it was generational, deliberate, crafted to make you surrender your calling before you even understood what it was. But God has intervened, and what was spoken in hidden rooms is now combusting in spiritual fire before the throne. Do not mourn what you lose in this hour. Some of the chains were shaped like comfort. Some of the prisons felt like home. But you are not called to familiarity, you are called to fire, to flight, to fierce truth that does not tremble in the face of control. The unraveling of false peace is the first taste of true freedom. God says, I never abandoned you to their schemes. I let the trap snap shut only so I could expose the architects. Now the trial begins, and I stand as judge. Those who wrote your sorrow in ink meant to be permanent will soon face consequences not of earth, but of eternity. You will begin to see the unraveling. First in subtle ways, relationships growing strange, alliances cracking, masks slipping without warning. Then suddenly, without mercy, the whole charade will collapse. The ones who once stood tall over your pain will be unable to hide from divine exposure. They will feel what they sowed. You are not being made new, you are being restored to what they fought to erase. Your clarity will return like lightning, fierce and bright, and you will wonder how you ever believed their lies. That's the power of divine light. It doesn't just reveal others, it reveals you to yourself again. Archangel Michael says, "Your name was whispered by the holy flame, and the chains began to dissolve. Even now, I am cutting the last threads that held your wings pinned to the dirt. What they thought would keep you low has now made your flight more feared. Do not pray for their comfort. Do not beg for their return. This is not the time to intercede for what God is judging. Let the judgment come. Let the fire fall. You are not their scapegoat anymore, and the chains that once wrapped your voice are being melted by heavenly decree. You will feel grief, but do not mistake that grief for loss. It is the phantom echo of things you were never meant to carry. Let them burn. Let the illusions burn. In the fire you will find gold, and in the ashes, you will find your truest reflection. They spoke over your head as if you were powerless. They made decisions for you, spoke curses into rooms you never entered, and assumed God would not respond. But God says, I was in the room they thought was hidden. I was the witness. I was the fire. This is not just your freedom. This is justice. This is divine reckoning. And though the chains fall, the echoes will not. Let them echo, let them haunt the memories of those who played with sacred timelines. You are no longer the victim in their story, you are the divine interruption. Some will say you changed. Some will say you became cruel. Let them speak. Let them whisper. But do not let them back into the sanctuary of your becoming. What breaks now breaks finally. Do not sew together what heaven has torn apart. God says, I heard your midnight weeping. I saw the nights where even breathing felt like defeat. And now, my child, I have declared war on your chains. Not one shall remain. This is the moment of loud breaking. The shatter will be heard not just in your life, but in the lives of those who depended on your bondage to feed their control. Watch them tremble. Watch them scatter. For you are no longer accessible to their curses. Archangel Michael says, the chains have a sound, listen for it. It is the sound of the old world collapsing, the false timeline dying. You are walking into divine clarity now, and the chains that held you weep as they fall. The skies are no longer silent. There is movement in the heavens, slow, ancient, unstoppable, and it has nothing to do with your enemy's timing or their carefully plotted sabotage. The scales, long tilted by injustice and delay, have begun to shift with a sound like stone grinding against stone, and now the wicked feel it in their bones. The reckoning is not coming, it has already begun. You feel it too, don't you? That strange, righteous rage stirring inside of you, not human anger but divine revolt, the cry of your spirit that has been silenced for too long. This is not bitterness, this is justice rising. your soul remembering that it was never created to live bowed under the weight of lies dressed as loyalty. Those who betrayed you did so thinking heaven would not answer. They made vows before men but curses behind your back. They moved in darkness, confident that the covering of time and confusion would protect them, but Archangel Michael says, I have kept record. I stood by as witness. And now I swing the sword. God says, I did not forget what they took. I did not close my eyes when they danced on the ashes of your name. I let them think they won so they would be bold in their sin, but the higher they raise themselves, the greater their fall will echo when my justice strikes. The scales tip slowly at first, then they drop. And when they drop, they do not stop. The ones who built their stability on your silence will watch everything they secured by manipulation collapse into dust. They fed on delay. They lived by deception. But the harvest has arrived, and the fruit is bitter. They will feel it in waves. First in confusion, then in exposure, then in consequence. The very systems they used to bury you will turn against them. What they sowed in secret will be shouted through their own mouths, for truth now forces itself out of locked places. Archangel Michael says, I am releasing scrolls sealed until now. These scrolls carry names, dates, intentions. Everything hidden is recorded, and it is now being opened before the throne. Those who cursed you in whispers will now be judged in open daylight. This is not your revenge, this is divine justice. Do not try to soften the blow. Do not step between the sword and those who forged the noose for your destiny. This judgment is holy. Let it fall as it must. You are not the executioner. You are the survivor marked for vindication. God says, I struck their plans at the root. You did not even see the full depth of what they built against you. I saw it, and I said, no more. That word is still ringing through the spirit realm like a hammer on glass. You will see them fall away. One by one. Some will fade. Some will be torn away suddenly. Do not cry. Do not chase. What falls in this hour is not your loss, it is heaven restoring balance. Let it fall. Let the scales do what they were made to do. They feared your rising more than they feared my justice. That is why they fought you. Not because of who you were, but because of what you were becoming. But they could not kill what I crowned. They could only delay what I ordained. And the delay is over. Archangel Michael says, the first will be last. The ones who laughed loudest at your silence will be the first to taste the fire. I am not sent to negotiate. I am sent to execute divine decree. Do not be surprised by who crumbles. Some wore your name in their mouths like poison wrapped in sugar. They wanted your light, but not your victory. They smiled while dragging your name into rooms where they knew you could not speak for yourself. Now the silence ends. Now the scales scream. They will deny it. They will beg. They will pretend they never meant harm. Let them. Their remorse is not your burden. Their apology, if it comes, will not restore what they cost you. Let heaven deal with it. Your only task now is to rise and let judgment move without interference. God says, your tears were not in vain. I caught them and I am pouring them back out as oil over your head. Anointing born of anguish. Glory born of grief. No longer hidden. No longer denied. You will see strange signs in the coming days. Names will rise in conversation like echoes you thought you buried. Emails, messages, sudden memories, all surfacing, not to haunt you, but to prove to you that the scales are moving. What once mocked you will now fear you. Do not be surprised when the storm seems to hit everyone but you. You are not in the judgment, you are the reason it has come. You are the trigger of divine reversal. The scale has tipped, and your enemies are now under it, weighed, found wanting, and condemned by their own choices. Archangel Michael says, "Do not fear the sound of falling thrones. What breaks was never holy. What crumbles was never eternal. Let it collapse. Let the ruin be complete. For in the dust, your name will shine like fire on gold." You were silent for so long they believed you were defeated. But silence was the cocoon. Silence was the sanctuary. And now you emerge with a fire they cannot control, a name they cannot stain, and a backing they cannot escape. God says, "I have judged them by their hearts, not their faces. I have watched the stage they built, and I have set it ablaze. Now all the world will see what I saw all along, my child, innocent, wounded, rising." This is the sound of divine justice. The scales are not done tipping. The weight is still falling. And the ones who threw stones in shadows will now be struck by the light. The air is heavy now, thick with tension not born of fear but of something holier, pressure. This is the final moment before the vault opens, the threshold where time bends, and you are either catapulted forward or bound again by delay. The last lock, ancient and spiritual, forged through bloodline covenants and unseen oaths, groans beneath the weight of divine force, but your response now determines everything. Archangel Michael says, "The sword has struck 5 times. This is the 6th. One more strike, and the door splinters, but do not let your hesitation give it strength. The enemy has no new weapons, only recycled distractions, but if you turn your face now, the lock reseals and your blessing fades like breath on glass. You have come to the point of irreversible choice. This is not a season, it is a crossing. The old world calls to you like a siren, offering safety, offering rest, offering a return to what once was, but it lies. Behind the lock is not just a promise, it is your proof. Everything they said you lost, everything you feared you'd never see again waits behind the final seal. God says, "I allowed delay to teach you hunger. I allowed betrayal to teach you discernment. I allowed silence to train your ears to my voice. Now, if you doubt me in this hour, the door will not wait. It will close, and what was promised will pass to another. You stand with fire on your back and thunder in your breath. The wind has turned in your favor, but you must move. Stillness now is not safety, it is forfeiture. Every delay you survived has prepared you for this exact confrontation, and the lock knows it. It resists because it knows it is dying. They are watching. The same ones who said you were foolish to believe, who mocked your prayers and counted you out, are now sensing the shift. They cannot name it, but they feel it. The ground shakes under you, not them, and their fear is not your burden, it is your confirmation. Archangel Michael says, I am stationed at the gate. I hold the seventh strike. But heaven waits for your spirit to agree. Your posture must match your promise. You cannot enter with bitterness still clutching your ankles like ghosts. This is the cost, you must release what hurt you. The final lock tests not your strength but your surrender. Can you walk through fire and let go of vengeance? Can you cross the threshold and not look back at who didn't come with you? They were never meant to carry this with you. That's why they betrayed you, because your blessing would have destroyed them. Their presence was a weight that the blessing could not bear. What waits on the other side is too holy for impure alliances. God says, I do not mix the sacred with the spoiled. That is why I removed them. That is why I delayed you. Now you see. Now you know. And now you must move. You may feel afraid, but fear is not the same as failure. Let the fear tremble inside you, it cannot stop what I have set in motion. The lock does not respond to emotions. It responds to obedience. Step. Even if your legs quake. Step. There is no halfway. You cannot return to what almost killed you and expect to inherit what I preserved. The final lock is a jealous thing. It demands full transformation. If you try to carry remnants of your old chains into your new room, the door will reject you. Archangel Michael says, the blessing is breathing now. It waits behind the seal like a creature born of holy fire, ready to consume every lie spoken against you. It will not wait long. Heaven has declared the time. This is your Red Sea moment. One more step and the waters split. But doubt, hesitation, fear, they will drag you under if you pause. The final lock has a voice, and it is mocking you. Silence it with movement. Silence it with faith. Silence it with war cries in your spirit. You are not being invited, you are being summoned. There is urgency here. There is weight here. There is judgment for delay. God says, I will not beg my chosen to walk into glory. I will not plead for what I bled to give them. You are either crossing, or you are collapsing. They will call you extreme. They will call you unrecognizable. Let them. They never saw the war in your silence, the fire in your waiting. They do not get to define your arrival. The ones who watched you crawl do not get to question how you now soar. The lock is screaming now, it knows. It knows your spirit has shifted. It knows you have seen too much, lost too much, endured too much to stop here. Let it scream. Let it break. Let the sound of it be the final cry of your old life dying. You will not be able to explain this moment. It is not mental. It is not emotional. It is spiritual, and it is final. There is no going back. There is no plan B. This is the firewalk, the storm split, the last strike before the door bursts open. God says, I have waited long enough. The hour has come. Let the door answer the command of heaven. Let the lock melt beneath your faith. Let what I ordained fall upon you like thunder wrapped in gold. This is not a blessing, it is a crowning. This is not a reward, it is inheritance. You do not earn it, you become it. And you have. Now go. Strike. Step. Claim. Archangel Michael says, the sword is descending. The door will break. Either you will walk through it, or it will shut behind you, and the timeline shifts to another. The next strike is not a rehearsal. This is it. Move.